Okay, thank you all very much for being here. We have brought Republicans and Democrats together in a very historical moment. And what that moment is about is that the Senate this afternoon stated that we will not continue participation in the Saudi-led intervention in Yemen, which has resulted in the worst humanitarian crisis on earth. And today, what the United States Senate said in a very loud way, that we will not continue to have our military posture dictated by a despotic, murderous regime in Saudi Arabia, a regime which does not respect democracy, does not respect human rights, a regime whose leader, nobody doubts, was involved in the horrific murder of a dissident journalist in the Saudi consulate in Turkey, Jamal Khashoggi. Both progressives and conservatives have made a profound statement that 45 years after the passage of the War Powers Act, 45 years later, finally, the United States Senate has come together to use that authority for the first time and say that the responsibility for war, the constitutional responsibility for war, rests with the United States Congress, not the president, whether that president is a Democrat or a Republican.
We think that this is a watershed moment, but we also know there's a lot of work to come. Unfortunately, the House has rigged their rules such that this is no longer privileged for the next 3 weeks. I hope and expect that the House of Representatives will take this resolution up early in 2019, and with a substantial bipartisan majority today in the Senate, we've made it clear that we can pass this again, if need be, next year. This resolution and this debate didn't happen in a vacuum. This morning, the two sides in the Yemen civil war announced a historic agreement in which a ceasefire was agreed to for Hodeidah and the surrounding area, and a massive exchange of prisoners was announced. Now, this is a small but meaningful deal. These are confidence-building measures. But I would tell you that the progress on the peace negotiations is not coincidental to this vote. The United States has said through the Senate that our support for the Saudi-led coalition is no longer open-ended, that we expect our partners to be partners for peace, not just partners in war.
It's not just the murder of one journalist. It is the starvation of 85,000 children and imminent starvation of millions more. Do we really want to be a part of that process? I think the combination of those two factors, the murder of Khashoggi and the recognition of the greatest humanitarian crisis facing this world, kind of led us to the vote where we are today.
I speak for myself from my role as a United States Senator, and that is focused on jealously guarding the power that is lodged in the legislative branch of government to declare war. That is significant, and that fight is worth fighting. It is an authority worth jealously guarding, not because of me personally or the three of us on the stand or the 100 of us in the Senate and the 435 counterparts we have in the House. It is important because it belongs to the American people. It is not to be exercised by one person ever.